Let's go! Okay?
All right. Yeah, Peaches got it.
Yippee!
Here we go.
What's going on? We're back for another episode of the Funtendo Market Report on this Friday, March 8th, 2024.
Let's go.
Let's jump right into Mario's money. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 57.07 points for today. The Nasdaq up 125.61 points. The S&P up 28.09 points.
Yeah!
The Nikkei up
Okie dokie.
90.23 points. And the London FTSE indexes have mixed results. Let's jump into the live
Congratulations!
gold spot price. Gold currently holding at $2169.80, up $9.40,
Here we go.
up $131.70 within the last month. The gold bulls are running wild. Silver up 1 cent. Let's jump into the exchange rates. The dollar having mixed results against various different currencies, up against the Brazilian currency, up against the Canadian dollar, up against the Indian ruble, up against the Zaire, down against all the other major currencies. Let's jump into the crypto market. Bitcoin at $68,428, right there near an all-time high, up 11.36% within the last week. Oh my goodness, Ethereum at 39.47, 39.4674, up 16.30% within the last 7 days. Ethereum is out of this world right now. Let's jump into the next segment, Mario's Madness, where we cover the top stock gainers and the top stock losers. Leading the pack, Grifols SA up 22.24%. Samsara up 14.87%. Clean Spark Inc. up 9.65%. Marathon Digital Holdings Inc. up 11%. And Carvana Co. up 12.49%. Let's jump into the top losers. Leading the pack, Petróleo Brasileiro Rio SA Petrobras down 10.30%. Petróleo Brasileiro SA Petrobras down 11.06%. Savers Value Village Inc. down 8.98%. CG Oncology Inc. down 7.65%. Marvel Technology Inc. down 6.95%. Let's jump into the next segment, Peaches Paycheck. U.S. added 275,000 jobs in February, more than expected, but unemployment rates climbs. The rate of workers quitting or being laid off has stalled, but hiring rates haven't fallen as much as expected in February.
The U.S. economy added more than the expected 275,000 jobs in February, while the unemployment rate inched slightly higher to 3.9%.
Here to help us understand this jobs report is NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung. Brian, good morning. Walk us through these new numbers and how they compare to the previous month.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Another jobs report, and the number came in above what Wall Street had expected. So 198,000 jobs is how many we expected to add in February. That would have been a slowdown from the December and January months, where we saw over 300,000 jobs get added. Again, instead of 198,000 as expected, we got 275,000 jobs added. So really clocking in quite high above those estimates. Now, the unemployment rate did take up from 3.7% in the previous month to 3.9%. Again, don't want to read too much into it, 0.2 of a percentage point increase in the unemployment rate, but nonetheless, still impressive that we've been below 4% as we've been for over a year now. So pretty impressive on that front.
Break this down for us by category. Where are we seeing the biggest gains or losses?
Yeah, well, we saw big gains in healthcare, but we also saw in leisure and hospitality. So we saw 58,000 jobs added in the month. That was pretty impressive. But I do want to note that we've seen some slowdowns in some white-collar jobs, specifically in professional and business services and also in information. These are going to cover some of the tech sectors, which are continuing to see layoffs, although not at the magnitude that we saw about a year ago. So in information, I had to double-check it. Only 2,000 jobs were added in in the month, and professional and business services only 9,000. So again, we don't always highlight small numbers in the category breakdowns here, but it is something worth watching as you do see some of those larger big tech companies and also even smaller tech companies perhaps continuing to trim even after last year's brutal layoffs. So we're going to continue to watch those threads in the jobs reports as well.
And tell us about wage growth.
Got it.
Yeah, well, on wage growth, right, the whole story here is that inflation is eroding people's pocketbooks. Prices at the store going up by 3.1% compared to this time a year ago. But that's all right if wages are higher than that. And what we did see is that on a yearly basis, wages did go up by 4.3% in February of this year compared to February of last year. So that does outpace the pace of inflation. Again, can that hold? That might explain some of the economic sentiment rising as of late. Consumers feeling a little bit better than they did perhaps this time a year ago. But again, in the polling, still showing that people are very much feeling on the fence about how the economy is for them.
So, Brian, Federal Reserve policymakers meeting in a few weeks. Could this have any impact at all on interest rates?
Yeah, well, the Federal Reserve is looking probably at this number, right? Wage growth is something that they want to see above the rate of inflation to make sure that this economy can stay buoyed, that inflation is not going to continue eroding those pocketbooks. But on the other hand, the Federal Reserve has already stopped hiking interest rates for a while now. Their last interest rate hike was in the summer of last year. So for the Federal Reserve, the next step would likely be cutting interest rates. That's what Fed Chair Jay Powell said in congressional testimony this week. But for right now, the Federal Reserve saying they want to see more signs of confidence that this number, inflation, is not going to rise any further. We'll get another print on inflation next week. That's really going to be the bigger number for them in terms of the timing for a potential rate cut, which probably won't happen in the next month or two, but maybe at some point later on this year, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, thank you so much.
In other Peaches Paycheck news, Aldi to add 800 new U.S. grocery stores by 2028. The grocery chain said it had completed an acquisition of parent company Wixiden and Harvey's, many of which are also set to become Aldi stores. Grocery giant Aldi plans to add 800 new stores in the U.S. over the next 5 years. The German-owned Illinois-based chain said in a release Thursday it plans to build or expand hundreds of Aldi's locations in the company's existing Northeast and Midwest strongholds, as well as in the Western U.S. and Southern California.
Peachy!
A first Las Vegas location is planned too. Meanwhile, in the Southeast, the company will convert many Winn-Dixie's and Harvey's locations into Aldi's, though a meaningful number of them will remain under the current brands. Aldi said Thursday its acquisition of Southeastern Grocers, the parent company of Winn-Dixie and Harvey's, had been completed.
Yeah, Peaches got it.
Aldi said it expects that about 50 stores will begin the conversion process in the latter half of 2024, with the majority of them reopening as Aldi in 2025. Want to invest in Taylor Swift and Beyonce? Now you can.
The company Jukebox has opened a marketplace where you can buy securities backed by streaming royalties from music, similar to owning stocks. Let's bring in Alexander Osipovich now. He's a reporter at the Wall Street Journal. He's covering this topic. It's a fascinating new place we can spend money, Alex, but I just want to understand the concept at its most basic level. How does this work exactly?
So every time a song is played on a streaming platform, or if it's used in television or movies, it generates payments to the rights holder, whoever holds the rights to those songs.
Peachy!
So it's an income stream. And essentially what Jukebox has done is it's created securities where by owning shares, you get a little slice of that income stream.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
Peaches
So
got
if
it.
you and I put our heads together and we wrote a hit song, we could basically sell our royalties where people could own a piece of this. And I looked through your article for the Wall Street Journal, and as you note, returns for this type of security is about 3%, which isn't bad, but that is lower than the 4 to 5% you would get putting the same amount of money in a high-yield savings account, for example. So who is this type of investment really designed for?
Here we go.
Well, it's debatable whether it's a good investment, because right now I can get 5% yield just from putting money in a conventional money market fund.
Right.
But it might be of interest to fans who just want to hold shares of songs that they like. And there's also a bit of a speculative aspect to it because potentially, let's say an old song gets used in a hit movie or TV show or just has a big revival. Then those payments could suddenly increase significantly. To be clear, the 3 to 4% is a trailing average, so it's based on the performance over the past year or so, and it could change in the future for better or worse.
Okay, so it's highly speculative, but we're showing our viewers just some of the artists' tracks that you could effectively own. We mentioned Taylor Swift, One Republic, Stevie Wonder, Adele. And as far as this being a questionable investment, there is some precedent for artists creating investment vehicles from their music. David Bowie, for example, you write about in your article, kind of paved the way for something like this back in the 80s and 90s. What did he do, and how did it change things?
Yes, David Bowie, besides being a pioneer of rock, was also a financial pioneer. In 1997, he sold the rights to his future earnings from a catalog of songs for over $50 million. People called it Bowie bonds. And that set off a precedent in which periodically artists or producers have sold off catalogs of songs, the rights to those songs, to big investors, sort of large private equity firms very often do this. And so this market has existed for decades, but it's been sort of a big institutional market. You know, big slugs of hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on these catalogs. Jukebox is trying to make it more of a retail market.
Well, it's a fascinating side of the financial world, and as you write about, it's basically bonds for beats. Alexander Osipovich with the Wall Street Journal, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bingo. Bye-bye.
At Smith's Pharmacy,
Let's jump into the next segment, Wario's recklessness.
Here I go.
Biden team United Health struggle to restore paralyzed billing systems after cyber attack.
A serious cyber attack on one of the nation's largest healthcare companies. For more than a week, the attack has disrupted prescription orders at pharmacies all over the country.
Here I
and
go.
as CBS Nicole
Here
Skinga
I go.
reports, a lot of people are now scrambling to get their medicine.
a cyber attack on the healthcare provider Change Healthcare is wreaking havoc nationwide as hospitals and pharmacies can't get paid and patients can't get prescriptions.
So, I mean, we've seen a lot of claims coming through as a rejected claim where obviously insurance providers are not being able to pay because of this attack.
The company discovered the hack on February 21st, disconnecting impacted systems immediately, parent company United Health stated in a federal filing. Change Healthcare says it processes 15 billion transactions annually, touching 1 in 3 U.S. patient records.
I can tell you that this cyber attack has affected every hospital in the country one way or another.
John Rigi is a national advisor at the American Hospital Association.
It's not a data crime. It's not a white-collar crime. These are threats to life.
In a since-deleted post on the dark web, a Russian-speaking ransomware group known as Black Hat claimed responsibility, alleging they stole more than 6 terabytes of data, including sensitive medical records. Change Healthcare says it's established workarounds for patients.
For smaller hospitals, are we talking about months, weeks, days?
The smaller, less resourced hospitals, our safety net, critical access, rural hospitals, certainly do not operate with months of cash reserves. Could be just a matter of days or a couple of weeks.
And Nicole is with us. What is the FBI doing?
The FBI is investigating this malicious hack, and according to U.S. records, hundreds of breaches at hospitals and clinics nationwide are currently under investigation by various federal agencies, Nora.
Wow. So frustrating for so many people. Nicole Skinga, thank you very much.
Let's jump into the next segment, Bowser's Blunders. Chrysler is recalling more than 338,000 Jeep Grand Cherokees because of potentially faulting steering components. Affected models include 2021 to 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee LS and 2022-2023 Jeep Grand Cherokees. Certain Volkswagen Group models. Volkswagen Group, which makes Volkswagen and Audi vehicles, among others, recalled approximately 261,000 vehicles over potentially faulty fuel tank suction pumps. A host of models are affected, including some Audi A3, VW Jetta, and VW Golf vehicles with model years between 2015 and 2020. Let's jump into the next segment. DK's Dummy of the Day. Weekend at Bernie's premieres in Ohio. Authorities. Women propped up dead men, then withdrew his cash. 2 Ohio women propped up a dead man's corpse in their vehicle and withdrew money from the man's account before dropping the 80-year-old's body off at the hospital emergency room. Prosecutors this week charged Laureen Biaffarello and Karen Kasbaum with theft and gross abuse of a corpse, both felonies in connection with their alleged activities following the death of Douglas Lehman. According to authorities, the 2 women were not related to Lehman, but lived with him in his home in Ashtabula, a city 50 miles from Cleveland. Authorities say Farallo and Kasbaum, with the help of a third individual, removed Lehman's corpse from the residence on Monday and placed the body in the front passenger seat of his car and then headed to a nearby bank's drive-through window. Authorities say the bank had previously allowed the women to withdraw money from Lehman's account. On March 4th, a teller apparently was unaware that Lehman was dead when the women pulled up and successfully took out $900. Y'all know what time it is. It's Peaches Party Friday!
Here we go.
Why, yeah.
Bag it up. Bag it up.
Here we go.
All the girls following me to get into Drake's party. Woo! Drake's got it litty down in Miami.
Yeah! Ha ha ha!
Let's jump into the final segment, Yoshi's Yummies. Customers blast Five Guys prices after receipt goes viral. Here's how much items cost.
A receipt from Five Guys has caused quite a stir online. It shows a bacon cheeseburger combo totaling $24.10, including tax and tip. The image went viral on Reddit, garnering nearly 25 million views. Users debated the high prices, with some calling them out of control and others defending the chain's quality ingredients. Five Guys responded and attributes its higher prices to fresh ingredients, free toppings, peanut oil fries, and larger portions. Inflation peaked in June of 2022 at 9.1%, with fast food chains feeling the effects and passing those higher costs on to consumers. Chick-fil-A prices rose by 21% since 2022, according to Fox Business. Sales at McDonald's and Yum Brands, which owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut, have been underwhelming. Taco Bell is promoting its value menu with 10 items for $3 or less. Chipotle saw sales rise by 8.4% in the fourth quarter, crediting the return of carne asada and a menu price hike in October, according to NBC News. External factors like conflict in the Middle East have also impacted business.
It's going to wrap things up for the Funtendo Market Report on this Friday, March 8th, 2024, Peaches Party Friday. And remember, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Take that! Bingo! Bye-bye!
See you next time.